Attending the Cairo Conference on Population and Development in 1994 was one of the most exciting and significant moments of my life. I think we don't understand how important the ICPD, the International Conference on Population and Development in Cairo, was for us and our own rights in the United States.
There had been this massive worldwide push to expand access to contraception, but it had been done often in a really coercive and insensitive way. The Cairo Conference was when that all changed.
You know, it was phenomenal. The rather curmudgeonly governments could actually hear from women what our lives are like, what our health challenges are.
The conversation had sort of become one around how do we control population? And of course, women's bodies then became the terrain on which this conversation was happening, as opposed to a conversation where what women wanted and what women needed was leading.
We achieved a major victory at Cairo when we shifted the conversation away from population control and towards women's health and rights.
You have to protect and fulfill all of women's human rights.
And that global women's movement that came together to make that shift was an incredibly important moment in the history of global organizing, not just for women, but for everybody.
It's been 20 years since Cairo.
Women's human rights have come a long way.
Changes that Cairo wrought are now so embedded that it's hard to even remember kind of how important or how revolutionary they were.
We've made huge headway on issues of sexuality, on maternal health, on adolescence, female genital mutilation, the issue of sex ratios and sex selection, the question of early marriage. We are having conversations about women's needs and women's rights in a way that we haven't been able to have before. Cairo and the issues that the global women's movement was able to put on the agenda were absolutely critical.
There's a whole generation of young feminists like me who were not in attendance at Cairo. But the rhetoric and the framing that was established there is still useful to us today, and we're still working to make sure that the promise of Cairo is fulfilled.
2014 is at least as critical as 1994 was.
We always are going to face people who want to push us back, that are trying to put women back into the 19th century.
What we learned in Cairo is even more true today, and that is if we stand together for the health and human rights of women, we can change the world.
This is a moment when all of us can come together and really talk about the world we want.
In the world that we want,
all women can make decisions about their bodies, their families, and their lives.
Every woman and every girl will have full protection of her human rights and equal footing with men in every aspect.
Everyone's human rights being everyone's concern.